Hey everyone, welcome to West New York Brews. My name is Scott. I'm a home brewer just outside of Buffalo, New York. With me, as almost always, on the best of weeks, is Brian from the Buffalo Beer League. And joining us both today is Matt Kahn from Big Ditch Brewing Company. Say hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Cheers.
So we
Cheers.
are drinking Big Ditch beers today in our own separate locations. Brian is at his home. I'm in my bunker down here, and Matt is at the Lockport location. So let's get right into the theme song, and then right afterwards we'll talk about what we're drinking. All right, I flipped a coin, and Matt, you won. You get to tell us first. What are you drinking?
Okay, perfect. I won the three-sided coin, huh?
Yes, you did.
I've got an escarpment, which is we call it a New York Pilsner. We brew this just for Lockport. It's the only beer that we currently have unique just to our Lockport location. And so whenever I'm here, that's the beer I drink. Plus, I love a good lager. And I was saying I'm a little far from home, so just sticking with lagers sounds like a good idea today.
Yep, safe idea.
But I do love this beer. It's just about my favorite beer we have on right now. It's it's like a lager made with New York State hops, and we put some like fun stuff like mosaic in it as well too. So it's kind of like a little like grassy, citrus, and also a little tropical.
Right, couldn't resist throwing in the mosaic.
Oh yeah. It's it goes in everything. I keep some under my pillow just in case.
Awesome. All right, flipping the coin again. That doesn't actually exist for people who aren't watching. Brian, what are you drinking?
I'm glad to come in second place to Matt, but
You're
Matt,
welcome.
real quick, I wanted to point out that I love the Escarpment Pilsner. It was that and Hoodle Dasher were my two favorite beers when Scott and I came to the soft opening in Lockport. But I am keeping it simple. Hayburner, of course. Always have a few in the fridge. So actually, now that I think about it, since we're recording this in the middle of the day, I could have had an NA burner, but I went with the full flavor, the full boozed up Hayburner.
Nice.
Right. I am drinking the Whitewater Belgian style wheat ale. It is wonderful. It has such a great smell to it.
Nice. I almost went for that. Maybe I'll have that second.
And 5.1%. And I do have the NA burner with me because I don't want to pound two beers in the half an hour that we're going to talk. NA burner. I've got a bunch of NAs upstairs, and it's one of my favorites.
Nice. Glad you enjoy it.
Can we start there?
Yeah, please.
Because this might be is it the only NA, local NA? Like if we're talking about Buffalo proper, right? Because then once we get into Industrial Arts, they have an NA.
Yeah. So I think there's been a few other NA beers probably brewed on drafts, maybe little pilot batches. I think maybe Southern Tier did one.
That's right.
Have done one.
Yep.
I think you guys would probably know that better than me, actually, in terms of who else has done it. But I don't think anybody else in Western New York is canning one. Oh, Southern Tier is canning theirs right now.
Yeah, Downshifter, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, they started canning that maybe just a few months ago.
Yep.
So, but we I guess we beat them to it by a few months or whatever. And then other than that, there's not many in New York State that I can think of that are being canned. So yeah, you've got Industrial Arts is great. They've got safety glasses. Obviously, you've got like Jenny NA. You've got what was the other one I was just thinking of? There's a couple others. It's just Brooklyn NA Special Effects, I think, right?
Yeah.
But not many canned in New York, so we're lucky to be amongst them.
How long did it take you to put this together?
The NA burner? Oh boy, a long time. I've forgotten all my press talking points on this because I was repeating it over and over again right afterwards. But it was like a few years. I want to say a couple of years from the idea, pilot batches, investigation. We dumped probably 4 production batches of it just until we got it right. Let's see. And then, we had consultants along the way to make sure we were doing it right. It tasted good. And then the safety was very important to us because it's just I always say it's more like canning milk than like canning beer. You got it's a food, so you got to be safe about it. So we spent a long time with it, but yeah, we're pretty happy with what we did.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you did it. I appreciate it very much. I had a homebrew last night, and I didn't want to drink too much, so I had half of a homebrew in a glass just like this, and then topped it off with an NA burner, and it was phenomenal.
So, like, I don't know about you guys, and maybe you guys can chime in, but like, I don't drink beer every day anymore. There was times doing this that I'd probably have a beer, maybe more than a beer every day. I do take days off. I have to, but there's days where like I really want a beer and I just don't want to get into, frankly, the alcohol.
Beer mode. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I got to get up early the next day or whatever it's been. Maybe I get home really late. I just, whatever it is, And I think any burner or any IPA or any beer for that matter fits that purpose perfectly. Like it's mentally satisfying, like I'm having a beer, but it's not, detrimental to whatever I have to do that night or the next day. So I think it fits in pretty well with like a lifestyle where you enjoy beer, but you just don't want to get an alcohol every day.
Have you given any thought to doing another non-alcoholic beer? Obviously, so I consider NA Burner a success, at least in terms of a non-alcoholic beer. And to real quick to your point earlier, Matt, Downshift IPA from Southern Tier Brewing, that is non-alcoholic. Pearl Street has a non-alcoholic Trainwreck, but that's just on draft. And then if you want to count it, which I know it's not the same thing at all, but Riverworks and 42 North, they can a hop water.
Hop water,
yeah.
And we actually looked at that too. We did a few we did some hop water experiments, and I really love their hop water. I just thought NA beer just a little bit of an easier sell. Like hop water is a little hard to explain, right, to somebody who doesn't know what it is. So that's kind of why we went down the NA path. But yeah, that's a lot of good examples. Yep, I haven't had all of those, but yeah, it's cool.
So have you given any thought to doing another non-alcoholic, a different non-alcoholic beer?
We have. We've got an NA lager sort of in pilot right now. That's probably finishing up, but I haven't tried that yet. I don't know how far we'll get with it. I mean, we're trying lots of different things always. So, we'll see.
What are the chances that the non-alcoholic pastry stout you did for collaboration a few years ago will come back?
I think there's a good chance that could come back.
Oh.
So like the thing about the NAs, like I think we've got a pretty good method for doing one. So, for those who don't know, so that one is like what did it have in it? I don't even know. Do you remember?
A whole bunch of adjuncts. Yeah, I'd have to look on Untappd. Yeah.
It was a pastry, non-alcoholic pastry style, which like does not make any sense. I think it had like pecan in it and caramel, or I don't remember. But it was very tasty. It was better than we thought it would. And then people liked it more than I thought they would like it too. I didn't know how well it would go over. The whole thing about NA is like, how much can you sell?
Yeah.
So it's like whatever your IPA is going to be your best seller. So if we're going to make a lager or a stout, like it's going to be less than that. And I don't know if that's super like sustainable right now. Like we can make a batch of a beer that would sell in some appreciable volume before it went bad, but I could see a little pilot batch coming back, maybe like Stouts Given. Maybe Stouts Given, you ready for an NA stout? That could be fun, right? So it's got something kicking around a little bit.
So the reason we brought you on was to talk about your 10th anniversary.
Okay.
Wild.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone through the history before on the podcast, especially the history of Hayburner in particular. But yeah, you're closing down like a whole block for this, right?
Yeah. So you guys have been to our anniversary party before. We've kind of done the same party for like pretty much like 9 years, COVID not, withstanding or whatever. But we've done a fun little like, we'll have a band and just like do some like cake and, a few new beers and that sort of thing. And like, I think actually we've talked about doing like an outdoor festival for like almost since the third year. And we're like, how do we pull this off? And we never were able to really get very far with it. And then one of our managers, Matt, he really dug into it and put a lot of work into it. And I'm like, if we don't do this now, who knows when we're ever going to do it? So we'll do it for our 10th anniversary, mix it up a little bit. So some bigger bands. We have XOXO Pop Band as sort of headlining it, which is kind of nice, fun, locally well-known band. And then we're still doing some beer releases, like all the beers we put in our little 10th anniversary pack. So we've got some old school favorites, Burner, Excavator, which makes an appearance now, and again FC, which we haven't done that in many years. We'll have that on, but yeah, just like closing down the street, bands, tents, just a fun little outdoor festival. See how it goes.
So okay, so that leads me to a question I've been wanting to ask you. And how did you decide on these 4 beers for this anniversary mix pack? Because I just bought one from Consumers. I won't be able to make it to the party, but I figured I could be there in spirit with a 12 pack.
Sure.
But so how did you bring back these 4? Because for me personally, I love Ship Shape. I was a big fan of that beer. Excavator, always a special place in my heart. And then like Burner, I've always loved too. But like I was thinking through the lexicon of Big Ditch beer, the pantheon of Big Ditch beers, there are a number of other beers that I would have brought back. But how did you settle on these 4?
So let me guess some of the other beers you may have brought back. You might have brought back Deep Cut. Right?
Well, that is coming back.
That is coming back. And maybe you would have brought back Packet.
Man, nailed it.
And then that beer is also going to be out in 16-ounce cans in like a month.
Whoa! Breaking news.
That's how we did it. Is we sort of were like, we're doing lots of nostalgia. We're going to the nostalgia bucket this year, I guess, right? So we're like, well, we're not going to, we're going to do Deep Cut in 16-ounce cans. We'll do Packet again in 16-ounce cans. You got to put an IPA in your mix pack, right? And then Burner was sort of the next, like that used to get some pretty good buzz. We could have done like double dry hopped Hayburner, maybe that would have been another one. So it was like iffy, this or that. But the Burner came out really awesome. So I'm glad we did it, And then FC was one, like we did FC for years and people loved FC. And like the sales sort of dropped off on it. Then we did Dayburner and that sort of replaced FC. But FC was another like old school beer we did for years that people really loved. So I think like we had like a, regular IPA, small IPA, lager, brown ale. I'm like, you got something for everybody. We feel like in there, We could have done like a berry vision. That would have been the only other one we thought about, But
berry vision is always around, right?
You have strawberry vision.
Oh,
like that's close. I mean, like I don't think we needed to do that. So that's kind of how we did it.
FC specifically, I've heard. I always used to hear back when it was always had it around, and now that it's coming back, I hear from people who I don't even consider like friends that I don't consider beer people that are excited to have FC back because they were such a big fan of that beer.
Yeah. No, I mean I remember making that beer and just being in love with it. Just a low ABV. I mean, it's been 10 years, right? So like, I mean, there were so few session IPAs on the market back then. There were so few double IPAs on the market back then, right? There were so few limited can release anythings back then. So it's fun to do all this stuff and think about that. Again, there's definitely some nostalgia here, right? It's like, but yeah, I mean, they're all fun beers to make, and they all still taste really good. So it's fun and it's exciting.
Was there any beers that you wanted to bring back that you couldn't?
Good question.
Oh man, beers we want to bring back. Well, like people are always bringing up beers that we had out like the first week we were open our tap room. Like they'll be like, do like Golden Shovel, which was like a golden or a Belgian strong ale, I think it was. Yeah, it was like a 7%. And like this, people ask about these, or like Lock Porter. People ask about that. Someone just asked me about that here in Lockport just the other day. Like, oh, make Lock Porter again. But there are beers that are like either technically challenging or cost-wise don't make sense or just didn't sell. So we've made a lot of good beer over the years. I'm happy with this mix pack. It's right in there.
Yep, the Belgian strong golden ale. I've had a Golden Shovel. I've never had a Ship Shape. So now
you're missing out,
right?
That is a good beer.
Nice Pilsner.
Yeah.
So we got Shutting Down the Street. You got XOXO Pop Band. Oh, and I'll look up the name. The other Stephen Babcock.
Yep, that's right.
At 1 p.m. $20 tickets. You got food, raffle giveaways, and it's tented because right now it's looking bad for the next like week and a half.
Yeah,
knock on wood.
Today's the first day. I got kind of a long 10-day forecast, but so, hopefully that stays true. But right now it's looking like 65 and sunny. So, for
good.
the Buffalo in May, we'll take that. And hopefully that stays true.
So you're doing stuff at Lockport too, right?
For the 10th anniversary, like we've put so much effort into this thing, and it's like really like Lockport is really on its 2.5-month anniversary, right? So we'll have the beers here, but we're not going to do like a big party or anything like that. The party is really just about downtown for that day.
So not to get too deep in the weeds, Matt, because not everybody might remember, but when you were planning the 10th anniversary and the when you were planning the 10th anniversary party and what like in its current format this year, did you go back and look or take anything from say like Thin Man Summer Solstice Festival that they used to have on Elmwood? Because that's what I compared this to, like in reading about it.
Yeah. I mean, not directly or advertently, maybe inadvertently. I know a lot of people had a really good time at that festival and party. Actually, I never went to that, so I can't speak to it personally, but I know it was a pretty nice event. They did that every year. I don't think this is something we're going to do every year. I think this is a one-time only kind of thing, or who knows, maybe for 20 years we'll do it again or something like that. So a little different there, but I mean, it's not like it's to plan this. It's extremely overly complicated, but really for anybody coming, it's nothing crazy. We're just going to have the place open. It's a little, and like we're not having table service that day. So walk up to the bar, get a beer, go. We're going to have like beer trucks outside. So go sit outside, whatever, watch the music, get some food, hang out, and just like, spend some time with us and, and thanks. But, again, there's some nice little things we've got too. So again, little raffle giveaways. Actually, we're giving everybody that buys a ticket a 2-for-1 beer certificate. So you can come back and get a 2-for-1 beer, so there's little, nice little things there. So yeah, hopefully that works.
Yeah, that's great. So 2015, you mentioned going back how little was in the market when you guys started. Could you have imagined this 10 years ago?
I didn't imagine it even 2 years after we opened, I'm like, this is way bigger than I ever would have thought it would have been. Yeah. So no, I mean, I never thought. We just kind of wanted to make good beer and, hopefully have some fun doing it, and just sort of followed it where it went. People would ask us for stuff and we do it. And then, like I always say, like it's on the wall in our tap room, ambition. Like, I think we're ambitious. So we're like, I mean, again, it doesn't seem too crazy now. But we're like, all right, we'll can a double IPA. No one has done that actually here yet. We'll go can a double IPA, or again, make a can an NA beer, right? No one's done that here. So we're ambitious, and that keeps us pretty busy. And it's just made it bigger than we ever would have thought. So no, I wouldn't say we ever would have expected it. I remember I was scared shitless about how big the brewery was. And I was even scared more about how big the tap room was. I'm like, this place is huge. Now I think like our tap room is a lot smaller than a lot of other tap rooms around the area, which is crazy. But like it's worked out. So, so happy that, Western New York is so supportive of local businesses, so we're pretty lucky.
It is funny to think about that, Matt, that like you think about like the tap room when you guys opened 10 years ago, that thinking back to the beer scene in Western New York and 10 years ago, that was massive, right? That was like palatial, your tap room downtown. And now you think about now it's like you said, it's like small comparatively, because now everybody seemingly now people are just opening with giant tap rooms, because back then it was just Community Beer Works on Lafayette, which was just essentially a garage. And then, and then there was you guys.
Resurgence. You had like Resurgence open before us, right? So they were like comparably sized, but didn't have like the service model we had exactly. And then a different space, different feel and different atmosphere. Again, also a great atmosphere, right? It's just different. And then like I'm thinking about the other spaces, like Hamburg, similar thing, right? So there were some places around that were like that. And again, even predating us, there was Pearl Street, and Pearl Street's still there. Pearl Street's a very, very big space.
Yeah, that's true.
it still scared the hell out of me though. I still thought it was way too big. So I was like, all right, hopefully people come. And then like by the first weekend, I was like, oh shit, they all came. Like now we have to take care of all these people. So yeah, I mean, it's good stuff, you know.
So West New York Brews, the podcast, has been around for 10 years too. And it was real easy to talk to everybody at the beginning because there wasn't a lot of everybody. And now there's a lot of everybody.
I know it's hard to catch up with everybody.
Uh-huh. There's breweries I haven't been to yet in Buffalo, and that's a crime. How many beers have you gone through over the 10 years? Estimate. I'm not looking for an exact.
How many beers
number.
have we made?
No, I'm talking about like how many different styles, how many different
styles of beer.
I'm sorry. Different
like brands.
Brands. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking
fine.
for words.
Yeah, I mean, well, like there's different ways of how we want to call a brand. Sorry, no easy answers with me, I guess. But like, we've brewed like hundreds of pilot beers. Okay. So these are like one-off whatevers. Like we don't spend a lot of time developing a brand when we do a pilot beer. But I think in totality we've brewed 500-ish different kinds of beer. I want to say, the ones that we've actually like scaled up, you know. Put in cans, it's probably like 100, maybe something like that, 120, which is still seems like a lot. But again, there's breweries where that's not that much. I mean, you brew like other guys, they do I think like 3 or 4 new beers a week or something like that, you know. So
or like Mortalis or something.
Yeah, right. So you know, we're obviously different than those guys too, and you know, in some ways. So you know, I mean. But I mean, regardless, is like we've done small stuff, we've done big stuff. We've been all over the map with regards to beer in our time. There's almost nothing obvious to me that we haven't brewed at least once. There's probably some obscure style that we haven't tried.
Yeah.
But we've tried a lot of different things over the years.
So nice. 10 years in, obviously coming up on 10 years in, how do you like whenever you take a second to breathe and look back, how do you look at the legacy that Big Ditch has created over the last decade? I know that's kind of like a pie in the sky question, but still.
Oh man, I don't know. Like I'm a generally pretty humble guy. Like I don't think of ourselves as creating like a legacy. I think like I'm proud of the fact that we've been around for 10 years, and I'm most proud of the fact that we've got a great staff. Like the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that we've been able to employ now like 170 Western New Yorkers. Between the two sites and the brewery and the sales staff or so, 170 Western New Yorkers. A lot of these folks, I've got employees that have still been there since the first day. So like that is the legacy I'd say I'm most proud of, is that like we have had employees that have come in that have like bought into the vision that me and Corey had very early on and have helped us to grow it. And they're still there doing it. And like they've touched our lives, we've touched theirs. Like that's the biggest thing I can think of. You know, I guess from the beer side of it though, there's Hayburner, right? So like, you know, Hayburner, you know, I never would have expected or planned. Yes, thank you. I never expected or would have planned that we would have had like, you know, about the best selling craft beer in Western New York. That was not part of the plan. And, you know, like, you know, it's hard to say how that happens, you know. It was just, you know, I always say like success is like, it's luck, it's skill, and it's hard work, you know, but luck is a big part of it. We're right time, right place. We still worked hard at it. We put everything we had into it. So I guess I'm pretty proud of that for sure. You know?
What's your footprint right now?
So we started out just in Western New York, and then in 2017 we went over to Rochester, and then we didn't do very much until we opened Oak Street, and then we started expanding a bit more because we had more capacity. So we went to Syracuse, Albany, Finger Lakes area, We did just start distributing down to New York City. We'd sell a little bit of beer in Pennsylvania, not much, just a little bit. Almost all the beer we make is Buffalo and Rochester. Although, Syracuse and Albany are growing for sure. So we're a very, very, we're a little bit bigger than a local brewery right now, but we're a very hyper-focused regional brewery. We're mostly sell beer in New York. I don't think we're going to sell beer much outside of New York, honestly. I'm not really even sure I want to. I like keeping it really local, again, regional. We sort of say from a sales perspective, we like to go deep and not go long. So we want to try to, every place we're in, we want to try to, penetrate a little bit, be serving samples everywhere. That's worked pretty well for us. So it's almost all like New York State and really mostly all Western New York.
So in the next 10 years, well, it sounds like you kind of already answered it. In the next 10 years, would you want to be in the same place as you are right now, or do you have more ambitions for what you're doing?
Well, yeah, I did say we're pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah, and you've proved it through a lot of what you've said so far.
Right.
Yeah, but you guys know this industry pretty well. You've been talking to folks like me for 10 years. You've been drinking their beer. You've been going to their tap rooms. This is a fast moving and fast changing industry. There's no way 10 years ago could have predicted whatever whatever. I'd be sitting in Lockport in a tap room, talking to you guys or whatever. I don't think this is an industry you could say in 10 years, where do you want to be? Even in 5 years, too far out. So it's sort of like a year by year basis. And really for the next year is kind of like we're pretty happy with where we're at. It's just trying to get better at what we do. So, not feeling maybe after 10 years, maybe a little less ambitious than the first 10.
You just put that on the wall. Less.
Also, a little less. Yeah, like in small letters, less ambitious. And I don't know. It's been a pretty wild ride, but maybe we'll take a little time and just calm it down for a little bit and just try to get even better at what we do. We're always trying to get better at what we do. So, but we've taken on a lot over the last few years. We opened Oak Street in 2022 and this Lockport in 2025. We're pretty good.
How old are your kids now?
I have two daughters. One is 19 and one is 13.
Are they looking to get into this, or they got their own things?
Oh no, they're not looking to get into this.
All right.
They're not looking to get into this.
I was wondering if that was part of the 10-year plan. Passing it on to the.
Yep. No, there are. Let's see. Obviously, my, younger daughter, not at all interested, doesn't know anything. But my older daughter, she's 19. She's in college, just like me. She experimented with some drinking a little bit. Actually, I texted her today about something, but not a lot of interest in beer. And so this is. I'm guessing you guys probably knew this as well too. But younger generations, they're going in a few different directions. So who knows? Now maybe Maybe next few years, maybe she'll get more interested, want to learn a little more about it. But I don't think they're gonna take the helm necessarily at some point. But you never know.
Right? Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So
Brian,
Matt, you've brought back you recently brought back Innovation Thursdays, right? Now it's a monthly event, not a weekly event. But so that leads me to my next question, to put you on the spot. Any chance that the Lock series will make a comeback? Because that has been by far my favorite beer series you guys have ever done.
Right. So, like I said, we're planning on another re-release of Packet, and maybe we'll do a FIP or something at some point in the future. Obviously, Cannon Call became one that we pulled out of that series and did a lot of I loved Cannon Call. Cannon Call was probably ultimately my favorite beer in the whole series. Once we really got it dialed in. Look, everything's got a life cycle. Right. So eventually people get tired of this. So by the time we're doing the last Lock series, people were not that excited about it anymore. It's kind of sitting around a little bit, So, I don't think we're going to do Lock IPA number 11 through 20 or something, at least not in the same way. I think if you made those beers, they'd be sitting around a little bit, you know? So look, I mean, I think you got to take it for like, that was the time and place that it was.
Yeah.
And it was fun and interesting, but like, I don't know if we're going to have that necessarily that time again. That being said, like, never say never, man. I don't know. You never know.
Do you find it harder to experiment now?
No, we're always doing new things. So like we have like at Huron Street, we sort of think of our Huron Street as like our R&D brewery at this point. So we don't just do experimental stuff there, but they're doing all the weirdo things. So we'll make lagers there. We'll do 19.2 ounce cans there. We'll do the 16 ounce batches there. So deep cut will be made there or whatever. We did everything in that anniversary pack was made there. Those are the sort of little bit of weirdo things. But they also do small pilot batches, and they're all doing different things. Like, and again, they're not always wild and experimental. Like tomorrow, they're just making like an American porter. We've never actually like scaled up a big batch of like I want to say plain, like an unflavored, straight up like just American porter. So like they're always doing different things. And usually what we do is like we cycle through, like we'll do an IPA, do a classic style, and then we'll do something wacky, you know? So they're always kicking those around. Just for a while, we were like, for like a year and a half, we were doing it one every week. And then they started to back up a little bit. And like, I think one of the things I'm telling you guys is like, one thing that's really important to me is fresh beer. Like I hate when we make beer and it's sitting around for a while, or I go into the store and like, man, we had that out there a few months ago. Like, why hasn't that moved through yet? You know? So we sort of brew to demand, you know, when the demand's high, we're going to make it. When it's a little lower, we'll make a little less. So they're backing off on that. They're doing a pilot batch every week. They're doing one every other week. You know, every month we'll put on the innovation series and there'll be another little flash in the pan here and there. So, we have a big group, like a pretty large group of R&D brewers. They've got a really long list of fun things to try, and we're just working through it.
So Matt, anything else you want to talk about before we thank you very much for allowing us to take some of your time today.
Absolutely.
That was fun, man. It went pretty quick. And, you know, I just, nothing specifically, but just thank you guys for being such great supporters of Big Ditch and the local beer scene for, 10 years and counting now.
I've drank a lot of your beer.
Yeah, well,
it's been a lot.
I appreciate that, but it's not just, I mean, obviously I appreciate the drinking. Thank you. Yeah. But just the talking about it and, kind of keeping it going. And, we have a great beer culture here, and you guys are right in the middle of it. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
And 10 days, or looking at my date here, 9 days.
9 days.
Yeah, 9 days. The 10th anniversary, May 31st. Check out BigDitchBrewing.com for the info, or of course BuffaloBeerLeague.com for the info. Brian's got an article up on there. So yeah, once again, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it. Good talking.
Thanks so much, Matt.
We're going to close out with the old First Ward. Can't,
there was a beer.
Almost Seamus.
Beer and a rattling beer. And the beer in the glass and the glass in the hand and the hand and the arm and the arm and the man and the man and the bar and the bar and the ward and the old First Ward in Buffalo. Hey, oh, the old First Ward, the old First Ward in Buffalo. There, oh, the old First Ward, the old First Ward in Buffalo. In that beer there was some foam.
I don't know how to fade it out.
And the foam and the beer and the glass and the glass and the hand and the hand and the arm and the arm and the man and the man.
All right. Hey, cheers, everyone.